You're listening to the Cyberwire Network, powered by N2K.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to N2K Cyberwire's Hacking Humans podcast, where each week we look behind the social engineering scams, the phishing schemes, and criminal exploits that are making headlines and taking a heavy toll on organizations around the world. I'm Dave Bittner, and joining me is Joe Kerrigan. Hey, Joe.
Hi, Dave.
Our usual co-host, Maria Vermazis, is at a space conference this week, so she will not be joining us this week, but we'll look forward to having her back next time. All right, Joe, a couple quick bits of follow-up here before we dig into our story. Quickly, I wanted to just touch on, as I think some people know, the passing of my father.
Yep.
My dad was, in a roundabout way, kind of a character on this show, because I would often talk about my trials and tribulations of being, as I called it, unlimited lifetime tech support for my elderly father.
Yes.
So a couple weeks ago, as we're recording this, my father passed away, and did so very peacefully and surrounded by loved ones and on his own terms. So as far as passing goes, it was just about everything you could have possibly asked for or wished for. But of course, I miss my dad, and just going through all the usual journey of grief that you go through when you lose a loved one, as important as my father was to me. So I appreciate everyone's kind words, and it's just a little different. Like I think I may have told you this, Joe, on the passing of my mother about 3 years ago. One of the realizations I had was that I have never known a world without them in it.
Right. Yeah.
And so you just don't know what the world is going to be when someone that important to you is no longer here. So
Yep. It's kind of scary.
Yeah.
But the thing I've always heard is that it'll never be the same, but it will get better.
Yeah. That's true. That's been my experience after my mom's passing. And, just try to be thankful for all the good times we had. My father was a good man and a good dad, and so we're all very thankful for that. All right, well, moving on to other things. Joe, you've got another bit of follow-up here for us.
I said something profoundly stupid last week.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yes. I said that I thought lead was more dense than gold. It isn't.
Okay.
I thought this because lead has a greater atomic mass than gold does. So in other words, one atom of lead is heavier than one atom of gold. But if you pick up a bunch of atoms and put them together, apparently they are significantly lighter than gold. So Maria and I were theorizing about how would you make a fake gold bar by coating something with gold.
Right.
However, I did find out that tungsten has almost an identical density to gold. And I don't know how to say this. Rhenium. Yeah, rhenium has a slightly higher density than gold. So you could mix a rhenium and tungsten alloy to have the exact same density as gold, and they do mix these things together. You just need to know how much of which to put together, and then you could put that right in the middle of a bar of gold. And the old Archimedes test of weighing the gold and putting it into a glass of water to see how much it displaces would tell you that it's gold.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah. So I still think you can make a fake gold bar. The difference is that tungsten and I think rhenium are both very hard metals.
Yes.
So they're not soft like gold is. So if you tested it that way, like tried to bend it, you would not be able to bend a tungsten bar.
Right. When back in many years ago, when I was a Steadicam operator, some other Steadicam colleagues, they used tungsten carbide as a ballast weight. So there are times in Steadicams are, it's the camera stabilization thing. I guess the most well-known thing is Rocky running up the stairs in Philadelphia, that a Steadicam shot, it makes the camera look like it's floating.
Yes.
So I used to do that.
I've never seen Rocky.
Really?
Yeah, really.
Joe,
hey,
you got some homework, man.
I only recently watched The Godfather.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is a great movie. It shouldn't be missed.
Okay.
But I saw Apocalypse Now when I was a kid, which also great movie. It shouldn't be missed.
Sure.
Rocky, I was just never interested in the movie. It just never caught my eye. And not that I don't like Sylvester Stallone or respect his work. I mean, he wrote that movie, directed it, and starred in it. That's phenomenal. Yeah. And it was a huge success. But the thing when you say Steadicam, the very first thing I remember is something of some documentary where I was watching somebody explaining the Steadicam, and it's a woman running through a field of flowers with the Steadicam operator chasing her.
Oh, yeah.
And they show you what it looks like as the Steadicam operator is chasing the woman through the field of flowers, and you're like, there's no way this looks good. And then they show you the footage from the Steadicam, and I'm like, man, that's beautiful.
Right. Right. So it's all just physics and weights and counterbalances and so on and so forth. So in that mechanical contraption, sometimes you had things that were counterbalances that you wanted to use as ballast weight. So you wanted to have things that were very dense so that they didn't take up a lot of space, but they had a lot of mass.
Right.
And evidently tungsten carbide was a popular one, I think because it was relatively cheap, more available than something than, say, depleted uranium.
Yes. I will say this.
Gold.
Tungsten, I looked up the prices of tungsten and rhenium today. Tungsten is like $50 for a kilogram of it.
Okay.
And rhenium is like $2,000 for a kilogram of it.
Oh, wow.
So it would be cheap for you to make fake gold with this. I mean, in terms of, yes, rhenium is kind of expensive as far as metals go. It's not as cheap as tungsten or copper or aluminum.
Right.
But it is cheap compared to gold.
Okay.
And you're only going to need a little bit of it.
Got a little side hustle there.
Right. So following on to this, our question that we never really got an answer to, a lot of people wrote in and told us that we can get gold bars at Costco.
Huh.
You a Costco member, Dave?
I think so.
You think so?
Well, yeah, I think I am. My wife generally handles that kind of shopping, and I don't mean that in any sort of like misogynistic kind of way. She prefers to handle that kind of shopping, and so she handles. I know we have a Costco membership, and I believe a BJ's warehouse membership as well. But I think sometimes she switches. We don't always have both of them simultaneously. Right. Actually, I'm going to back up because one of them sells gas. And
never buy gas at the Costco.
No,
the gas lines always look like Jimmy Carter's president again. I mean, it's just it's awful. It's
I think my teenage son buys his gas there because he has more time than money.
Right. There's a Costco by us where they have a gas pump, and there's always like a line at least 3 cars deep at every pump, and just down the street, there's a Royal Farms, which is like a Maryland convenience store, that sells gas for like maybe 10 cents more a gallon.
Yeah.
How many gallons are you going to buy? 10? 15? Is it worth $1.50 of your time to sit there, $1.50 to not sit in that line? I think it is.
Right.
So I go and just buy the 10 cent more expensive gas.
Yeah. And then you're on your way.
And then I'm on my way, not waiting in line.
Right. All right. Well, thanks to everybody for writing into us. We do appreciate it. And now, a few thoughts from our sponsors at ThreatLocker. The tactics used by cyber criminals are becoming more and more advanced every day. The shift from a default allow approach to a default deny is more critical than ever. This is where ThreatLocker comes in. Stay tuned for how ThreatLocker allow listing and ring fencing has your back. Let's move on to our stories here, and I am going to kick things off for us. Joe, you and me and Maria, we talk about time and time again about how the scammers follow the news.
Yes.
Right?
They are very news savvy.
They are very news savvy. And what has been in the news, maybe dominating the news, says we're recording this more than anything else, are President Trump's tariffs.
Yes.
Right? There is no avoiding.
Driving everybody crazy.
That's right.
I lost a bunch of money last week. I got some of it back yesterday.
Yeah. So... And the uncertainty is causing a lot of people a lot of anxiety.
Yep.
And so if you have an anxious electorate, an anxious society, that primes people to being susceptible to cybercrime. So there's a company called Pre-Crime Labs, which sounds something out of the Spielberg movie.
Yeah. It's like, what was that movie? Was it Minority Report?
Minority Report,
with the precogs?
Right, the precogs, yeah. So there's an organization called Pre-Crime Labs, and they're a security research organization. They have uncovered over 300 suspicious websites registered so far just this year, and they are looking to take advantage of these tariff issues. So there's one that is a phishing site that's posing as a legit U.S. Customs and Tariffs page.
Huh.
So you get a email or a message saying that you owe payments due to the new tariff charges. And of course, none of us are experts on how tariffs work yet.
I do know this. I do know this, that unless you're importing or exporting something, you don't pay a tariff.
Right. But you can see how there could be confusion.
Yes.
And people may think that, I don't know, is there, and if someone sends you a strongly worded letter or email or text message.
With threats of arrest, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. Or even just, you're not going to get your shipment, or you're not going to get your, who knows, your Social Security payment. I mean, things that are even nonsensical.
Right.
Are enough, especially when people are in this sort of heightened state of anxiety and agitation. And if you go to this page, it is a fake site, and it tricks people into either handing over their money or their financial or their sensitive financial information.
Yep.
And it's hosted through one of those sites that has a lot of malicious activity, the bulletproof hosting kinds of places. There are a bunch of domains that have been registered that are things like tariffwine.com or tariffhealth.com. So basically just appending or prepending the word tariff onto the regular everyday things that we do and use in our lives.
Now, Dave, are you a wine guy?
I would not know. I would not categorize myself as a wine guy. I do enjoy an occasional glass of wine, but I do not know a lot about wine. I would not consider myself to be a wine snob.
Okay.
Like some folks, I have friends who are very, very, I guess, self-identifying as wine aficionados, and I am not that.
No, nor am I.
Yeah.
But I did recently, just recently, cease a wine membership for a winery in Texas that didn't ship to Maryland, so I have to go down there and pick up my wine. So it's a little bit
like an expensive.
It's impractical, Dave. So
okay.
So I canceled it. But every time I go down
like a
there,
good idea at the time.
It really did. They gave me a flight of wine. They said, "Hey, would you like to join our club?" And I'm like, "Sure."
That sounds great.
So for like 3 years, I was a member of the wine club. And we have friends down there, so I'd go down there and pick it up and come back. But it was all domestic wine, and my kids would, of course, mock me incessantly about that. But they have a wine club membership to a local winery here in Maryland. We buy a lot of our wine is domestic wine. We don't really drink a lot of imported wine. But like you, I have known some people who are wine snobs, and they love imported wine.
Sure.
So, I could see where this would target them. That bottle of French wine I bought, apparently I now owe a retroactive tariff on it that I should have paid. And that's not how tariffs work. At least I don't think, you can't have, tariffs are applied at the moment of import and export, right? They're not implied. Like if there's a bunch of Japanese cars here right now that have already been imported into the United States, and these are not built in the United States, like let's say Toyota has imported some, those are not going to be subject to tariffs.
No, I mean, there was a story just a few days ago about, before this last round of threatened tariffs were scheduled to go into effect, that Apple was basically loading up cargo planes with iPhones.
Right.
To onshore them, to get them here before the tariffs kicked into place. So I think you're right there.
Yeah. But when there's all this news and there's all this chatter around there, and you get a threatening email saying, "Hey, we noticed that you bought something," would it be unreasonable to assume that people would be like, "Well, I guess the government knows everything I buy," and then they just respond to it? Or, I mean...
I mean, someone says, "Hey, you bought such and such and you failed to pay your tariff."
Right.
And unless you pay the tariff, somebody's going to come and knock on your door and arrest you.
Right.
And I mean, look, there are news stories right now about people knocking on people's doors and arresting them.
Yes.
So it's not crazy for that to be in people's minds.
Yes.
Right. So it's all sort of intertwined. And to that point, this story talks about there are some troll sites out there that are really just there to stir the pot, to amplify the outrage and spread hate, mocking tariff policies or inflaming public sentiment, those sorts of things as well. And, that's not helpful.
No.
So the experts are saying that as this tariff situation continues to evolve, and at the moment it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere, nor does it seem like it's settling into any sort of steady state, right?
No.
That these scams are going to play off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they mentioned that there have been some fake consultancies offering tariff guidance, crypto coins.
That's a good way. That's a good way to scam people out of money on this.
Yeah. So, as always, pause before you click. That clever-looking site could be a well-crafted trap. So.
They're so easy to stand up. A good-looking site is pretty easy to stand up if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm doing. All my sites look like crap. But
well, but also, I think government websites are notoriously not good-looking.
Right.
And so they're even easier to copy because there's no standard for excellence,
Yeah. I think that's a government-wide problem.
Yeah. All right, so just beware. Anything tariff-related, if somebody's asking you for additional money and it has anything to do with tariffs, just pause a beat and just check to
You
make
don't
sure.
pay tariffs.
That's right. All right, that is my story this week. Joe, what do you have for us?
I should say you don't directly pay tariffs. You are going to pay the tariff.
Right.
No mistake. But you don't write a check to you'll buy something more expensive. That's how you pay it.
That's right.
All right. So I have some good news. This one comes from Stephanie Price at Fox News. And this is coming out of Oklahoma, where it says an Oklahoma woman has been charged with laundering $1.5 million from elderly women in online romance scams. This woman is named Christine Joan Echohawk. She's 53 years old, and she is alleged to have laundered money from out-of-state victims from September of last year until December of last year. The officials said the victims were between the ages of 64 and 79.
Wow.
They even tell the horror story of one of the victims who sold her house to send money to these romance scammers.
Oh, wow.
Which is awful.
Yeah.
I think. Apparently, she was not involved in the actual scamming, but she was laundering the money for them.
I see.
So she has been arrested. She came to law enforcement's attention, and they said they started asking her questions about it, and she stopped laundering money for a little while, and then then went back to it. If she is convicted, she is looking at anywhere between 24 and 62 years in prison and up to $250,000 in fines.
Wow.
There's a number in this article that says if you to report fraud to Consumer Protection Unit for Oklahoma. But these, I don't know why that number is in there, because these victims were not from Oklahoma.
Oh.
She was laundering money with, one of the things she was doing was cryptocurrency, which is a pretty good way to launder money.
Yeah.
You send, basically what happens is you get some cash, you put that cash into the banking system, and then you buy cryptocurrency with it, and then you send that cryptocurrency away. That really helps the people that you're laundering the money for, but it does leave a pretty good trail for you. I get the impression that this woman was just not good at money laundering.
Okay.
One of the things that stood out and actually raised attention was one of the banks that she had an account with paused a payment in January of $120,000 from one of the victims.
Oh.
So she may have been getting money directly from the victims deposited into her account, which she was then responsible for laundering.
Right.
That's not a good way to launder money because that's all traceable. You need something untraceable to launder money.
Yeah. My understanding, just from having side conversations with some of the FBI folks that I've chatted with over on the Cyberwire, is that the tools that they have available to them for tracking things, even through cryptocurrencies and mixers and all that kind of thing, have come a long way.
They've gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah, and now they're able to trace it across different blockchains.
Mm-hmm.
So they can make the association like this person sold X number of dollars in Bitcoin, and look, they took possession of somebody took possession of almost exactly that amount of Ethereum.
Right.
So let's assume that's the same transaction, and those are two ends of the transaction, and let's go follow that Ethereum and see where it goes.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, because those are all open blockchains. There's no privacy preservation on them, and a lot of crypto exchanges are not dealing with the privacy preserving cryptocurrency like Monero. They're not dealing with it anymore. And because of exactly the concern of money laundering.
Right.
So my next story is actually from Yahoo News, and looks like it's sponsored by MoneyWise. I don't know how Yahoo News works, Dave. Is it an aggregator? Is it actual reporting?
I have no idea.
The author is Danielle Antos, and this story is about a new jackpotting scam, which is an ATM hack. So, are you familiar with the idea of ATM jackpotting?
Is that where I use technical means to have the ATM spit out money?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think Jack Rhysider had an episode of this on Darknet Diaries a while ago.
That sounds like, that sounds right up his alley.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things they'll do is if you can get into an ATM and you can change the value on what they call the cassettes, which are the things that hold the bills.
Right.
And you tell it that the $20 bill container contains $1 bills.
Right.
And then you go in and you make a withdrawal from your account for $3 and you get $60 out.
Right.
Right. And then you just made $57 in free money. So how this is working is they're going in, they're picking out receipts, and that's what the camera shows. They're picking up receipts, and then they're doing something at the ATM and getting money out. Now, the underlying way they're doing this, and they're on the phone when they're doing this, so they're coordinating with somebody remotely.
So this is a receipt from the ATM.
From the ATM.
In other words, you and I go to withdraw money, we get our receipt, and we just cast it aside or drop it on the floor. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
They're picking some of those up out of the trash. They're taking pictures of them, and they're on the phone with somebody. And I think it looks like it's really timing sensitive. So apparently there's some kind of glitch or I shouldn't say glitch. This is actually probably a vulnerability that needs to be patched, where there is a delay in the from when the money is dispensed to when the transaction is finalized. So the money comes out, somebody who has back-end access to the ATM cancels the transaction, but the money's already been dispensed. So no accounts are being impacted. Nobody's losing money except the bank.
Okay.
And there is kind of an upside to this story, and that is that they've already arrested a few of these people, and 7 people have been charged so far. And 2 were arrested in Harris County, and 2 more are in custody in Miami. And the suspected U.S. side coordinator, Vitaly Moravel, is an alleged Ukrainian war refugee on a humanitarian visa, and he's also facing related charges in Georgia and Florida. So this is something that's going on. They think they're working with what the article describes as a big boss who might be back in either Ukraine or Russia.
Right.
And that's the organization that's doing the hacking into the back end of the ATM.
Yeah.
And they're walking up, conducting some kind of transaction, and having the transaction canceled after the money's dispensed. That seems to be the way it's going.
So there's something on that receipt that they can then use to get when they're getting backdoor access to the machine.
Yeah,
somehow.
I think it might be an identifier for the machine.
Interesting.
There might be some kind of identifier for the machine on the receipt.
And they just empty it of cash.
They are emptying these things of cash. Yeah, they've gotten over $250,000 out of these things.
Wow. Well, I guess the good news is it's just taking it from the machine, not from some poor innocent victim's account.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Still,
yeah. It's still going to cost everybody in the long run.
Right, and if you're coming up to get your own money and the machine's empty, No cash for you.
That's right. That's kind of a minor inconvenience, though.
Right. All right. Well, that's interesting. Well, we will have links to both of your stories here in the show notes. And of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, you can email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. We'll be right back after a quick message from our show sponsor. So let's return to our sponsor, ThreatLocker. ThreatLocker is a zero-trust endpoint protection platform that strengthens your infrastructure from the ground up. Where traditional cybersecurity tools require you to create a list of things you don't want to run, ThreatLocker enables you to easily curate an allow list of everything you need in your environment and network, and block everything else by default. With ThreatLocker allow listing and ring fencing, you gain a more secure approach to blocking exploits of known and unknown vulnerabilities. ThreatLocker provides zero-trust control at the kernel level that enables you to allow everything you need and block everything else, including ransomware. The ThreatLocker Zero-Trust Endpoint Protection Platform deploys in a learning mode that analyzes the operations of your company using machine learning to assist you in developing your allow list for approved applications, what they can do on the endpoint, what can interact with your data, and even east and west network traffic. We thank ThreatLocker for sponsoring our show. All right, we are back, and Joe, it is time for our catch of the day.
Dave, our catch of the day comes from Montclair University.
Up in New Jersey.
Yeah, it's a phishing file that they've discovered. Somebody is sending. We've had stories like this before.
Yeah.
From universities where they're sending around warnings about somebody impersonating faculty.
Well, in Montclair, to their credit, they have a web page where they aggregate phishing attempts that have come into their staff and students.
Yes.
So if you can go and peruse them, and that's actually where I found this one. Someone pointed me to it, that it's a nice little collection of, and it's sort of, they're adding to them day by day, real time. So
excellent.
Kind of neat. Joe, you have had a camper in your life.
Yeah.
Right?
I'm trying to sell it, Dave. For sale. 2019 Grand Design Reflection.
Yeah. Well, this is an email going out to faculty and staff at Montclair. The subject is opportunity to own a free 2014 Airstream Sport 16-foot travel trailer.
Now see, that's a nice travel trailer.
This was my next question.
Yeah.
That is a nice one. Airstreams are generally pretty good, right?
Airstreams are built solid. They don't put slide outs on them, so you don't get the extra room, but they have a reputation for like lasting forever.
They're the big, like aluminum, polished aluminum Twinkies.
It's a polished aluminum Twinkie. That's what
I always think of the Apollo program with Airstreams. Like,
right,
I think
because that's where they put them to quarantine them.
Right.
After they got back from the moon.
Yeah. All right. It goes, Dear faculty staff, I hope this email finds you well. I'm writing to inform you that so-and-so, associate professor of Montclair State University, has expressed her willingness to donate her late father's 2014 Airstream Sport 16-foot travel trailer, 7,000 miles, sleeps 4, has a color TV, radio, microwave, propane heater, electric AC heater unit. If you are interested in this Airstream Sport, please indicate your interest by sending an email to arrange inspection and delivery or pick up with a moving company. Please write so-and-so with your personal email and not with school email for a swift and fast response.
Right. So
regards.
So that notice they're trying to move you off platform right away.
Right. Get you off of the school email.
Yeah, where you might be protected from this.
Yeah.
So this is my daughter was thinking about buying a travel trailer at some point in time. And
here's a free one.
Right, here's a free one. She saw one on Facebook Marketplace and said, hey, I'm interested in this. And the woman was like, yes, my husband passed away and now it's all shrink wrapped in and set up. And she begins the whole process. And we actually had that scam on this show.
Yeah.
And when she showed this to me, she says, "Is this a scam?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's a scam. That's the same scam as we've been talking about that recently."
Yeah.
So I don't know what the scam is here though. Maybe you have to pay delivery fees.
Yeah, I mean, I suspect so. It reminds me of the grand piano scams.
Right, yes.
Same
Sounds
sort of
very
thing, where
similar.
free piano, you just have to pay to have it shipped.
Right.
And of course, there's no piano, there's no shipping. You pay, and that's it.
Right.
$200. One thing that struck me here, Joe, that I don't know about trailers.
Right. Maybe I can help.
Well, that's what I'm getting at. It says 7,000 miles.
Right.
Do trailers have odometers?
They do not.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Like, I can tell you about how many miles my trailer has been driven.
Right.
It's around 1,000, but I can't give you an exact number.
Okay.
I know where it's been.
How many, let's say this trailer, it's not the years, it's the miles. This trailer has seen some bad campgrounds, right?
So, yeah, it's, like mine was driven from where we bought it, which is up in Thurmont, and it was driven down to the eastern shore of Virginia and the Delmarva Peninsula, then up to Gettysburg, and now it's been driven back down to Carroll County, Maryland, where it is awaiting sale. Okay. So, yeah, it's trailer lifestyle is a great, trailer camping is a great lifestyle if you're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth getting a trailer if you're going to be, doing a lot of traveling and you're going to be up at the trailer every weekend or up at the camper or whatever.
Right.
Last year we didn't get to go once, which was a shame.
Yeah.
We didn't. I never de-winterized it from the previous year, so it's just not fitting our lifestyle anymore. Yeah. So I mean, you got to make the decision, but it's.
But you enjoyed it while you had it, right?
I did enjoy it. At the time we had at it was like on the Eastern Shore and up in Gettysburg was pretty good.
Yeah.
Very nice.
So the 7,000 miles is a little bit of a tell that.
Yeah.
It's not a thing.
Yeah. How do you know how many miles it has on it? I mean, you could approximate it. Like I could say mine has about 1,000 miles on it, but there is no odometer. No.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, that is our catch of the day. And of course, we would love to hear from you. If there's something you'd like us to consider for the show, please email us. It's hackinghumans@n2k.com. And of course, we want to thank this week's sponsor, ThreatLocker. Go to threatlocker.com/HH and check out their Zero Trust Endpoint Protection Platform. That's the words threat and locker with no space.com/HH, where you can request a demo and neutralize the threat of malware running on your devices. And that is Hacking Humans, brought to you by N2K Cyberwire. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to hackinghumans@n2k.com. This episode is produced by Liz Stokes. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. We're mixed by Elliot Peltzman and Trey Hester. Peter Kilpie is our publisher. I'm Dave Bittner.
And I'm Joe Kerrigan. And Maria's not here.
Thanks for listening.